Well, I guess we can formally start this interview by you introducing yourself. So tell me your name and what you do.
Okay, I'm Shana Landa Regenhart, and I am the owner of the Landa Showroom.
Wonderful. And how long have you been in the new Mart building? Because it's been some time.
Yeah, I moved over from the California Mart when everyone kind of started that influx about 5 years ago now. So I've been here for about 5 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how did you get into fashion to begin with?
I always loved fashion. I was that girl, you know, even back in high school and junior high that would dress all my friends and come up with outfits for them. So once I decided that maybe I'd have an interest in that, I started with retail and knew someone in the wholesale end of things, and they introduced me to a showroom hiring. I started off as a sub rep.
Nice. Did you find that right away the retail and wholesale world was so different, or did you think they were kind of similar?
I found a lot of similarities. I was managing a store at 18, 19 years old, and I had 40 employees I was responsible for. So going to the wholesale side, I liked it because I was mostly responsible for myself and my own goals and what I wanted to achieve. I had a lot more freedom and not, you know, set hours and weekends all the time.
Right.
I found that I enjoyed it more.
That it was more natural to your abilities.
It was a natural fit. I also loved merchandising, and that became really important to me of being able to utilize that skill and to guide the stores how to put something together and what will work for them and how things would sell well to their clientele base.
That makes total sense, and I would almost assume they find you a great resource because of your experience, because you've been in their position at the retail, and then now you're saying, well, from the wholesale, here's how we can help add value to your shop.
I think that you have to kind of build that trust through time, and after you do a few orders with people and they realize you know maybe what you're talking about and that things are actually retailing for them, then they put a lot more faith in when we tell them something's strong and you really need to have this is a trend you need to get behind. I think in the beginning it can be a little intimidating when you're introducing something new that they may not be familiar with or comfortable with.
So the buyers are still vetting you guys a little bit still. Even
Sure.
so, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Even all these years later, we get new stores all the time, and they want our expertise, but they also want to make sure we understand who they're catering to. And I have a strong road team, and we feel like we're really in tune with the stores that we sell to because we're in their territories all the time. And I think it's really important in these economic times that you are in touch with who the ultimate user of your goods will be and understand how they're wearing it, what they need clothing for. And it helps me to pick up lines in the showroom as well, understanding what will work.
That makes total sense, because if you're out of touch with the consumer that's shopping in the retail stores, then it really is a breakdown in communication if you're not all at least in the same, have the same goals.
Yeah.
And certain regions might love particular colors while others do not, or a certain sleeve is, I don't know, that's definitely more your side of the business than mine, but it seems like it'd be very particular depending on where the store is located.
It really is, and it really does change. We break our territories into kind of a northern and a southern territory on the West Coast. And some things are exactly the same, and then other things, obviously due to weather, you know, the climate plays a big part. In Southern California is much warmer most of the time, and Arizona and Nevada have different needs a lot of the time than Colorado and Utah, Oregon, Washington. So we try to make sure we're well-rounded on all of our lines to have something for everyone.
Makes total sense. And this is a question just coming from myself living in California my whole life. When you're merchandising or helping assist with the merchandising, is there much common between Southern and Northern California when it comes to style? Like, or are they very different? It can, depending on whether they're a beach city versus downtown LA. You know, does that also play a factor in where they're situated in the state?
I think that because we have more beach cities in Southern California and warmer weather down here, that comes into play for color and style. But other than that, our boutiques that buy our lines buy very similar. It's interesting everywhere. Our best sellers are our best sellers everywhere.
That is
so
great.
It may just be that, you know, this long sleeve top will sell a little longer up in the areas where it's a little cooler.
That makes sense.
But overall, we're finding that our package works everywhere for us and for the consumer that we're trying to get to.
So that probably speaks to your taste level and the lines that you choose to carry. How do you make that decision when you're meeting a new designer, when you're looking around your room? What are some of the things you look for in designer collections to carry in your showroom?
I think for me, it has to be something that's going to speak, have an opinion, have a point of view. That when the buyer comes into my showroom, they immediately know what they would use that product for, and that it's different than other lines I have in my room. I don't want to have a showroom full of lines that all look the same. So I'm looking for variety, something that is quality at the price point, whatever that price might be, and just trying to offer something that I can stand behind, because I feel like we have our own unique designs behind it. It's our own intellectual property. We're not trying to do what anyone else is doing. We're trying to give our own point of view and get that out into the world. So each of my lines in here I try to do that with. And I do a lot of merchandising with my companies. So I'm giving them direct feedback on things I feel they're lacking, or something that we could add, something else we may need to be better, well-rounded.
I'm sure they really appreciate that advice, even on their end, just to help with R&D or speed to market or whatever they're thinking of to help you. It's nice that you reach out to them with kind of that advice also ahead of time.
I think that the newer companies in particular, they enjoy having someone to help mentor them into the business so they're more successful right off. And they find that it'll translate across the country. So I'm not just speaking to my needs, I'm speaking to things that I know will sell across the United States.
That's really nice.
Yeah, we try to be helpful.
What would you say to an incoming designer who is completely new to this, doesn't know how to approach a showroom? What's maybe some advice that you can give them so they're a little bit more ready for that opportunity?
I think come prepared.
Come prepared.
Come prepared. Have all your information. Have a lookbook. Have a line sheet ready with photographs. Know who your target customer is. Already do your research. Already know who it is you're trying to get to, who the end user is. I think a lot of new designers come in and they don't really know who they want to be yet, or who they're even trying to target. Age group, look, price point, any of the things that would be important to a showroom owner to know. And most of us want somebody who's already done a little business. So maybe get out there, make some sales yourself, and see how things retail. So you're coming in already with some information.
That makes complete sense, and I think that'd be a great piece of advice for a lot of designers who can be a little bit more on the ground. Walk into the boutique, try to get things on consignment, just test out your market so they can let you know what they've found in their own research.
Yeah, I think most of the specialty stores are really open to giving the opportunity to new and upcoming designers, as long as they meet their expectations and what they promise they can do.
Definitely. And in your experience, what would you say would be maybe the one or two things that seem to be consistently problems that designers are making? Like you mentioned, knowing your customer. Is that a pretty big one, that when designers come in, they don't really know their customer quite yet?
Yeah, I think that sometimes their idea of who they would be approaching and how they're going to do it and who we should be getting in front of may be very different from who's actually interested in that line.
Totally.
And a lot of times it becomes a little hard to achieve the goals that they want to set, because you don't have the symmetry between the two things.
Makes
So
total sense.
I think it's really important to understand who you want to be, and then actually make product that will sell to that person.
Definitely. It's almost like working backwards. I think a lot of designers, they get inspired by their own creation or their own creative thought, and then to have that be a business now is a completely different mindset.
Sure, and I think knowing also when you're approaching showrooms, approaching the right showroom.
Okay.
If I already have that look covered, I don't need another line like that.
That makes
And a
sense.
lot of times they approach a showroom that already has the type of line that they're designing because they think that would be a good fit, when it really can be the opposite.
It's the competition,
Yes,
right?
and we don't want to, as we say, split dollars in our showroom.
Definitely.
We're very loyal to the lines that we carry, so we make sure that we're not taking things that cross over and that are conflicts.
Definitely. One thing I've noticed, even just through speaking with you today, is this this idea of mentorship and really facilitating the growth and development. How would you say you do that in the showroom as well? Because not even just with incoming designers, it sounds like that's who you are as a person anyway.
Yeah, I think one of the things I really enjoy about this business is, bringing in the younger generation and teaching them all the things I was taught by the mentors I had, and helping them to understand how to be a well-rounded salesperson. So unlike some showroom owners that may do it different and try to hide certain information or not to share all aspects of how to run a showroom, I do the opposite. I want to teach them from the ground up. I teach them everything, and I want my team to be as strong as I am. And eventually they all want to go and open their own showrooms, and you have to wish them well at that point because everyone has ambition that does well in this business.
That's true.
So I just view it as I have a great team. I'm going to do what I can to keep them around. But in the long run, I want them to be so well-rounded and so good at what they do, they are able to actually go out on their own at some point and open their own showrooms.
Definitely. And have you seen that happen yet? That some of your people have flown
Not
the coop?
yet.
And okay, cool.
Not yet.
Cool.
Unfortunately, I've only lost employees that have either moved away or gone on to get married and have children, that sort of thing.
It's very kind of you to be caring about your employees' future, because I think that is very uniquely different from most businesses right now. It's more about getting the job done, doing it right, and doing it for the least amount of money as possible. And you're actually taking the investment and the time to teach people to make them better. Even if it means for their next step in life, you are taking that time. And so even just from a generation similar to your staff here, I would want to thank you for that, because it's really uncommon.
Well, I appreciate that, and really what I want to do is create a team atmosphere. So one thing that my team will hear from me all the time is it's not about what one of us is doing, it's what we achieve as a whole.
Absolutely.
It's showroom goals, it's not individual goals.
Definitely.
So we all have expectations we have to meet. We all have numbers that we have to meet in this business. But at the end of the day, we come together as a team to achieve those, and we help one another. So if one person's having a little more of a challenging time, the rest of the team will help to call for appointments, to help them on the road, whatever it takes, because you're as good as your team member.
Absolutely.
And that's just my philosophy as a showroom owner.
Definitely. It reminds me of athletics in general, just this team dynamic that you all win and you all fail equally. It's about the team, what you can do together.
Well, and I think it helps me hold on to my employees
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they
it's
all
different.
know that they have the support of one another, that, we all here have one another's backs and that we want to succeed together.
Can I ask you more of a style question, I guess?
Sure.
It's like, how do you keep because I get this all the time when people hear I work in fashion, they instantly bring up the ego and the kind of the attractiveness of our industry, because much of what is not publicized is the work, the
Sure.
business of fashion.
Sure.
How do you keep the ego out of your business, your showroom, your design collections? How do you make it about the work? Because it is very clearly to see that that's what you're doing.
What we do within my showroom is our main goal is customer service.
Okay.
How are we best serving our customers? We want to do it better than everyone else.
Okay.
So, the first thing we want to do is be timely in getting back to our customers and making sure that we're taking care of their needs. Do you need a road appointment? Do you have goods that you need returned? Is there an issue that needs to be dealt with? Do we need to get out and show them a new collection? Whatever it might be, we want to make sure that our customers know that we depend on them as much as they depend on us. So I think building that relationship and having great sales associates that work for you, that are constantly doing their job well by getting back to the customer in a timely manner, we get a lot of compliments on that, because I think that some people just aren't able to prioritize or choose not to, and we make that our priority here in the showroom.
Definitely. If I were to ask you a company philosophy or the way that you stand out amongst the others, how would the Landa showroom incorporated be different from anyone else in the business right now?
I think that first and foremost, my entire team knows that I don't ask them to do anything I haven't done myself for many years, and that basically customers come first, and that our specialty stores are our bread and butter, regardless of any large store business, chain stores, private, product development I may do, that we need our specialty stores as much as they need us, and you can't forget where you came from and forget about the small guy. And I think a lot of companies have forgotten that you have all these brick and mortar small stores that are struggling in
Yeah.
this, in the online business that
Yeah.
has, just skyrocketed in the last few years. And it's hard to compete with Amazon and all
Definitely.
these people. So we do our best to give them the tools so they continue to be successful. And therefore, we're growing in a time where a lot of people keep telling me their business is shrinking.
Right. Right. It makes complete sense. Nurturing, education, mentorship, these are some very fundamental values that I'm kind of hearing that the Landa showroom has in its core. Moving forward, what do you see the plans for the showroom to be? And that's a scary question. If I ask like 5 years, 10 years, and I put a number on it, so I won't. But where do you see yourself essentially in the showroom in the next wave of change in the fashion industry?
Well, we would love to be the go-to showroom where people come here to look for unique product that they're not seeing everywhere else, that they know that we're going to take care of them, that whatever their needs are, we're going to do the best job possible to make sure that it's a healthy relationship on both sides.
Definitely.
And I think that with the online business growing the way that it is, we have to do it better and continually be looking for ways to help our stores stay in business and grow their businesses. And I think that if I see anything in the next 5 years, it's finding a way to be creative to help our small stores and to continue to grow the online business so we're not also antiquated and out of business in 5 to 10 years.
Have you noticed a percentage of your accounts going more e-commerce or becoming an e-commerce? Like even coming into the building, I'd say of the 6,000 buyers, my guess would be at least 30% of those are now e-commerce stores.
Yeah, I think that it's becoming a very strong category, and to do it well, it's a lot more work than people anticipate getting into it.
Definitely.
I mean, you have to be able to stock goods, you have to be able to ship quickly, you also need to be able to deal with returns very quickly. So it's a lot more involved than I think people anticipate going in, and we're always looking for those opportunities because as that business grows, we want to be a part of it. And what I try to do is for any larger stores doing that type of business, we do product development and try to do something separate from what's on our regular line so it doesn't hurt that business as well. So I think there's different ways you can help all of your businesses stay strong and be fruitful.
Definitely, because for Market Week, we vet even the buyers that end up on our buyers list. We look through and make sure what kind of buyer are they, who are they buying for, and so we have a little more of an assessment of who's coming into the building. And what I've just noticed is definitely an increase in e-commerce stores, but to your point, when I go to some of their websites, their photos, oh my goodness, you're selling product based off of a photo, and yet this image does not show you the quality or the color or anything about that item, and in a way it does a disservice to the designer, because
I
the
agree.
photos are really how the world's going to understand from an e-commerce perspective. Or maybe little videos. If the designer happened to be on runway, they could show that kind of thing. But otherwise, that's it. What you're seeing on their website is it. The best part of the brick and mortar is they have that person-to-person contact still, where they can have a party or sell a portion for charity, and they get more involved in the community. But with e-commerce stores, they have to impress you from the moment you land on their page. And so I've noticed the same, that some totally get that, and they're so aware and they're on top of it. And others, they're still growing, and I can see they're still learning that the photos will be very important.
Well, and there has to be a healthy growth. I think Nasty Gal is a huge lesson for a lot of people, to where you have to have a healthy growth period to where you're not growing too quickly, and that you make sure that you are constantly watching your distribution. And for all of us, I think those are huge and hard lessons to learn. And none of us want to see all of our hard work go away.
Yeah, definitely not. And I would agree. And it was a shock, I think, to most who just only considered it as a success. But it's just the same. People rise, they fall, and we need to take note and learn the lessons from that. And so I think the more people talk about that and reference it, it'll be a case study for the education of our industry. It's like, learn from the people who've come before us, what they did right, what they maybe made a mistake on, and kind of go from there. And it is sad because they were one of our neighbors too here in the district. It will be something that people talk about, but there's also a lot to celebrate there. And so it's good to hear the industry start to give feedback on that and be a part of it from a financial or a legal perspective. A lot of comments are being made about the business. And so it's good. People are talking about us.
I think we all want to see a lot of success around ourselves because it's
Yeah.
healthier for all of us.
Yeah.
We want to see everyone succeed. We
That's so
think that
true.
there's room for everyone to do their job well.
Definitely.
And you know, when people ask me like, who do you sit with? Who do you compete with? I don't really look at who we compete with.
Nice.
I look at what we do and what we bring to the table.
Nice.
And you know, I can answer who we sit with, but ultimately we're trying to create our own opportunities.
Absolutely.
So we really work hard on that within the Landa showroom as well, is, you know, let's create our own opportunities, let's come up with our own, you know, newer, fresh perspective on these lines and find a way to get that out there.
One thing I'll just comment on quickly is how colorful and beautiful the room is, and I have noticed that. Like
Oh,
the things that you're
thank you.
saying about it does definitely stand alone, and I'm noticing even the collars of this line here, how they're flipped inside out, such a neat detail, and it's just, it's in the details. You can see it.
Arata is a very unique line, and we take a lot of pride in it because we built this from the very first season from the ground up.
Nice.
And that, along with Dear John and some of our other lines in here, are lines that we've worked very hard to build. So we're very proud of what our designers are doing, as well as what we've been able to do as salespeople.
It's beautiful.
Thank
It really
you.
is beautiful stuff. So we can end this with how do people find out more about the Landa showroom?
You can email anyone on my team. s.landa@thelandashowroom.com is my direct email. Or you can call, and any one of my salespeople can help someone over the phone at 213-627-3797.
Awesome. And do you guys have social media accounts or a website?
We actually do Facebook
Nice.
and Instagram, and it's under the Landa Showroom on
Perfect.
Facebook.
Thank you so much for this
Thanks,
today.
Ashley. It's great.